Hi, this is Kevin Hawk with thebasscast.com, and this week I want to talk to you a little about the summer to fall time transition. You know, the days are starting to get shorter and the nights are a little bit cooler, and that's causing the water temperatures to drop. You know, eventually, once we get into the fall turnover, which typically lasts 1 to 2 weeks depending on the weather, that water on the surface that has been cooling is going to become heavier than the water underneath it. And what that's going to do is going to cause it to sink below that warmer water, and that warmer water is going to rise to the surface. You know, what this means from a fishing standpoint is a lot of the deep clear reservoirs like Smith Mountain, Lake Lanier, Lewis Smith Lake, it's going to cause those bass to suspend, and they're going to be suspending around bait fish. I mean, the whole key is going to be finding those main schools of bait fish on the main body of water and fishing around that, because that's where the bass are going to be. You need to look for areas with good depth changes, whether they be offshore humps, long points, or just any type of break. And you need to have baits that are going to cover all different parts of the water column. You need to have a topwater bait for fish that come up and bust bait fish on the surface. You need to have a bait that's going to cover the middle of the water column. A scrounger is a really good bait for that, or a smaller swim bait. And then you also need to have a bait that's going to cover your presentation on the bottom, especially if you have like standing timber or brush that's holding those bait fish and thus holding the bass as well. This is a great time of year to fish a vertical drop shot right beneath the boat, looking at your graph, you know, video game style, just picking them off one by one. What you're also going to have is a migration of fish in the back of the major feeder creeks in the lake. You're going to look for a little bit more stained water, and you're going to be looking fairly shallow, anywhere from 1 to 6 feet of water. And what's going to happen is a lot of those bait fish, a lot of the gizzard shad, are going to school up and bunch up in the back of those feeder creeks, and the bass are going to follow them in there. So good presentations for those again are top water, any type of vibrating bait like a bladed swim jig is really good, square bill crankbait, things like that. So, you know, as the water continues to cool, just be aware of that, and know that the bass are constantly changing and moving, and you need to change and move with them. I hope these tips help you out on your summer to fall time transition fishing. Join me next week on thebasscast.com.